Alright, welcome back to episode 5 of Get to Know Your Mod Author. And this week we have got Hothtrooper, and he can say hi.
Hello.
Um, Fuck, I was gonna say something. Screw it. I always screw up the fucking intros. Fuck it. I figure most everybody knows him from Immersive Armors, which I realized I should really hate him because he put the word immersive in front of the word armors as a descriptive as one of the first people to do it. The sucker got like 3 million fucking downloads, and then every stupid twat on the face of the planet now thinks that that's what you put in front of a mod to make it popular, not actually putting out quality content, which is part of my hate. So,
It's true.
uh, so I mean, Hoth, go ahead and because I'm terrible, and people that watch my channel probably know I've been sick for a week and it's been pretty bad. But throw out your mods, what you've done, like anything you're proud of. Just describe it for people who don't know. The 2% out there.
Yep. Well, I guess most of my mods that people know about are in Skyrim. I've made a couple now for Fallout 4. They're not particularly worth mentioning, but they're in the same vein of what I'm known for. I make armor mods mostly. I've done several other things, and they don't. I guess they're not as popular. It doesn't really matter. I like to try different things. Like you said, immersive armors and immersive weapons have a lot of downloads, and a lot of people use them. I spent an incredible amount of time making them. So I guess I'm pretty. You mentioned what I'm proud of. I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah, I don't know what else specifically to say.
And
Go immersive armors. I guess I don't know.
and as some people know by now, I usually talk with people for a while before I interview them. But I do know that Hoth has not really watched the other interview videos, so he probably doesn't know this is coming. And all of you know this is coming. So Hoth, when are you going to make immersive Hitler for Fallout 4?
Someone already made Hitler mods for Fallout 4. You could be a SS officer in Fallout 4. Don't worry, it's available, and
No,
you
no.
could probably do it naked if you wanted to. The mods are all there for all that good fun.
Well, I
Yeah,
gotta
I will not be making them.
I gotta ask too now, since I did the interview with some guy 2000. Kat is on board, who I did the interview with last week. Me and some guy made a pact that if paid modding ever happens, or if we for some reason ever make $500,000 combined off of modding, that we will actually make a gay synth Hitler Preston love story mod where
Oh,
they artistically cleanse the wasteland. And Kat's already helped our Preston, or sorry, Adolf Garvey, where he's got actually SS cloak and helmet on, and we tried to give him a little mustache, but we couldn't get it to work. And we made him white because we figured racism, why not? And that's so we contributed to the Hitler mods. So are you in? Will you help us with the gay Hitler Fallout 4 mod?
this sounds like absolutely nothing I want to be a part of. But if for some reason I'm making lots of money, then why not?
I'll take that as a conditional yes.
Sure.
Basically, guys, he's saying he's a
I,
whore, and if I give him $5,000, he'll
yeah,
do it.
no, absolutely. We all are. That's this life. How did you land on a gay Hitler mod? I just, of all things to make.
You need to watch, and everybody needs to watch the Some Guy. It went. Some Guy 2000 is crazier than I am, and I dropped the Hitler question. Like I started with Ellie, and it just kind of just went downhill. I've asked everybody a Hitler question. Some Guy 2000 didn't even know it was coming, and he ran with an entire questline story involving gay synth Hitler romancing Preston and making his own art gallery, and then artistically cleansing the wasteland. Settlement
I
to
do think
settlement.
that Preston being gay and artistic and painting and trying to like hit on you would actually be a funny mod. But the Hitler parts, I can't be pro Hitler. Can anyone be pro Hitler? I'm not pro Hitler.
Well, I mean, different parts of his life. You could probably be pro Hitler, before he became like. I like his
No,
paintings. No, you can't like his
no.
paintings.
Yeah, I don't think even his own school liked his paintings. Isn't that part of the problem? They say.
That's true. He had a best-selling book though. It was on everybody's shelves in Germany. I can't even keep going with
Yeah,
this.
yeah. Well, if they didn't buy it, he'd probably shoot them.
No, that was actually that mean comp. Um, sorry. This fucking. So, anybody we haven't offended,
Right.
Do you hate women? No, I'm just kidding. If I make myself laugh too much, I'm gonna start coughing. Jesus. What's your future plans? Like, what do you have planned for Fallout, if anything? Or are you just gonna say screw it and go back to Skyrim?
Um, I have not abandoned modding Skyrim, but I am mostly modding Fallout right now. Um, I have a few things I'm working on right now. I told you earlier when we were talking. I was trying to make the Great Khan. They're in the other Fallout games. I was gonna put some of their armors, and maybe when the Get comes out, maybe even make them a little mini faction or something would be cool. So they're in the game. I was working on I guess it looks kind of like a SWAT armor, like when they do like breaches into places with armed people, they have like all
Yeah.
the big protective type bulletproof gear on and stuff. I was working on something like that. That one's is half done maybe. I stopped. I was actually pretty close. I would have been done with both of these a long time ago, but I started playing XCOM 2, and I've been going hard at that for probably like a week and a half.
I have neglected to download it just because I know I'd play it.
It's actually good. It's very good. I'm a fan of those type games, but it's good.
I actually have only gotten like halfway through Tomb Raider because I keep going back to modding.
I have not. So the new Tomb Raider's out now. I haven't seen it. I haven't even played it. I don't even know. The last one.
Yeah, it even came out for a computer finally.
Yeah, the previous one I guess was like a year and a half ago or something. It was beautiful. I mean that game. It's incredible what they pull off.
This one is just the same. It's fucking fun. I actually made sure to neglect any read up on it because I knew there'd be like a ton of shit because it came out for consoles first. And it's like I was telling you, Discworld, Terry Pratchett, his daughter wrote it. She's the writer for it, and that's why I give it a lot of.
The family.
Yeah, I if she even has a quarter of his talent, she should be a damn good writer.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like some of the effects they did is like when you're walking in snow, you'll leave like the footprints in the snow, and if it's thick snow, you'll actually trail the snow like when you shuffle through it. Like it's just some of the gorgeous effects they have.
They're leagues ahead of most people in just making beautiful environments and beautiful gameplay. The actual way the game plays out in the past, it's not my favorites to play, but it is certainly one of my favorites to look at. Just beautiful game.
I think it ends up in the different veins. Like Fallout turned into more of just a run and gun like type of feel, whereas when I did Vault 273, the Prelude one, I tried to I did a scavenger hunt where I didn't actually give quest markers. I thought that was something that was really lacking in the game. Like there was the bobblehead thing, but you really didn't have any clues. They were just, oh, I randomly found a bobblehead. But
yeah,
but I mean,
it's supposed to encourage exploration.
Yeah, but see, XCOM. But I mean, that's what Tomb Raider actually does. Tomb Raider encourages exploration in all the different places you can find, the lore you can find in the tombs you uncover, and XCOM is a whole different matter from both games because it requires strategy, thinking ahead, planning. It's at least the first one. I'm pretty sure the second one probably follows the same vein as the other one.
Exploration is not encouraged.
But
strategy is.
Yeah, and it's like. You tend to not get all of those in the same game. You're going to hit different veins of the shit, and that's what's kind of... That's why, I mean...
Except The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 does everything right.
Yeah, okay, yes. Don't get me started on why CD Projekt Red should just run every company's game development studio.
And run for president afterwards.
Yes, and they'd get it in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Not to mention they just give free use of their shit to us to use. We could port everything from Witcher 3 into Fallout if we wanted.
They're not just the best at letting you use their stuff, they're the best at making it too. They're just that good.
And they're pretty fucking humble about it. I love those guys.
Seriously.
I do love the fact that they said, if you notice, there's not they're working on Cyberpunk 2077.
Right.
And they literally stated, I think it was October last year. They basically told everybody, every press, game place, they said, we're not releasing any statements, nothing. We're not talking to the press for all of 2015. They're not even going to bother. They said they're going to work on the game. They said their first press release will be January 1st, 2017.
I was pretty surprised when they announced this project, but you know what? If you try to get in their shoes, doing something so different, I think that's fun. Who doesn't like to just branch out? They've done 3 games in a row. That's very,
It's not branching out when you look at what they talk about. It's it's what I think a lot of game companies lose. It's CD Projekt Red. They said that they're pretty much, they might do another Witcher. They love it, but they're doing something they love, and they're pouring everything into something they love and they have a passion about and they talked about as a studio.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's something that it feels like a lot of game companies. I mean, Bethesda. We'll just use them as an example because we mod for them. It honestly feels like Bethesda's completely lost. Like, I don't think they have a passion for Fallout. I don't think they even had a passion for Skyrim. I think they're going through a motion to make another game because that's an IP they have, a control of, and it's something they already have a setup for. And it kind of feels like they try to make it for the lowest common denominator, sort of like Blizzard. Like when Blizzard keeps releasing expansions for Warcraft. It seems like they don't care anymore.
I wouldn't equate Blizzard with Bethesda very much.
I don't think
I agreed with most of what you were saying about Bethesda, but I give Blizzard not more credit's not the right word, but it's a different thing with them to me.
I think Blizzard's become more of a monster than they know how to control at the moment.
Yes, well they branched out and they branched out quickly, and they've done it incredibly successfully. I mean they're relatively new MOBA and card game are giant hits to the point where they canceled their MMO, Titan. What was they called it? The project Titan or something, right?
Well, I guess we don't have a lot of viewers, so a little inside information. You know that game called Destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah. Activision reactivated it and pulled in what's their faces, Bungie, to fix the combat. Destiny's Titan.
No. No.
I can't give you the names, but it's been confirmed by 4 Blizzard employees that I know personally.
So that was a Blizzard? That was Titan?
Yep, the framework apparently, and then they just fucking crashed on it or didn't know what to do, and then I guess Activision, this will probably be refuted by a lot of naysayers, but yeah, and when you play Destiny, if you ever played early Warcraft, you can see it. It's blaring in your face. Like the similarities between rep grinding and how you did shit in vanilla Warcraft is literally there in a first-person shooter. When you played early Destiny, Destiny's gone through so many changes since the original inception of the game that apparently it's good now. I haven't rebooted it. It's a pile
Destiny
of shit.
sold really well on console though, right?
Because of the hype.
Yeah.
Idiots like me fucking pre-bought it. Like I wish I had never bought the fucking game.
Don't even admit to that. You're the scum of the earth.
I know. I'm fucking never pre-buying another. That game sealed the deal. I won't pre-buy another game. I pre-buy it 1 minute before release if I'm going to do it.
Unless it is a whole series that I am following, and I want to support the series. Those are the only ones I pre-order.
Yeah, I just hate well, like what we did for Fallout. I don't like the fact that we all bought Fallout and then beta tested it for 2 months. We paid to beta test it, fucking Bethesda, so they could fix their bugs. Like,
though, it's worth supporting them. They do make good games. They make the kind of games that I like to play. They're not always perfect, in fact. They're quite far from perfect. But if other people were making, in which there are more people making big open world games, but still. If there was more competition, maybe they wouldn't have to release with bugs, or they wouldn't be allowed to. But they're not.
Well,
no one's really not many people are in league with them.
People give them shit about the bugs, and honestly, the way the game is programmed and the vast majority of choices, that's part of the hardest thing I have to do with when I make quest mods is accounting for the user fucking shit up, and that's something that you can't do because 5,000 people downloading your mod means there are exactly 5,000 different combinations of things that are happening inside your mod because they're all nobody's gonna do the exact same thing.
Yeah, so you make quest mods, so you have to deal with that more than I do.
Yeah, and the funniest thing that you have to deal with is early, like in Dragon Break, I just gave up at points just for speed's sake, and I would put invisible walls behind people to blockade people so they couldn't exit in a certain direction. And then I would have people TCLing through the invisible wall instead of taking the clear and open doorway in front of them. And they'd TCL through the wall and then complain nothing worked. And I'm like, God damn it, I can't win.
Yeah, if they're consoling through places, that is their fault.
But yeah, it's like, I actually don't hate Bethesda as much for the bugs. A lot of people get on their shit about the bugs.
I don't hate them at all. I think what you said is true, that they seem a little jaded on their own products. I think that's true. But they still make good products.
I agree. I think what I see in them is that they're an older school company. Like the uh, the game could be better, but any game could be better. You could say that as a blanket statement, so it's not really the greatest statement, but it's like they haven't updated. It's like we're using Microsoft, or we're using Windows 7 to 10. There actually isn't much of a difference besides the user interface. And
Yeah.
that's what it feels like going from Fallout 3 to here. We've got a way prettier user interface, but it doesn't seem like they've adapted a lot of
Well,
things
people
that.
have actually argued for that same argument for Fallout and for the Elder Scrolls series, that they're getting broader but less detailed, and in almost every respect, the worlds are bigger but less detailed. The quests are more but less specific. The and less detailed. I mean, but everything's getting bigger, but there's less life. There's less soul to it. It's just kind of big. But that's
Yeah,
where mods kind of pick up, and I
and
think
that's what I
that's
was
one
going to say.
reason that they
It,
work.
it gives us this great sandbox to work in. That's true, but I don't know. I feel like it's just, yeah. But I mean, and then you look at, I mean, like I was saying, the Tomb Raider game. The Tomb Raider game's got great story. It's got great characters and personality, but it all focuses around one central character with
It's
an
also
actual.
very driven.
Yeah,
Um, you
it's a
you don't have
straight
too many
linear.
choice. Yeah.
And so I mean, you can do more character development with that kind of a story than you can with giant open world. Which actually, I got to ask you this question because I didn't really ask anybody. What do you think about the player voice? Because I think it was a great concept and then a failed implementation. That's my personal view.
I wouldn't call it failed. I think it is better than none. I think that voicing everything is something games should have been doing a long time ago, and people are sometimes just catching up on now. I guess maybe some people as a preference don't like it, but they could probably just have a toggle, which I think they do. Don't they have it so you can just have no voice?
I think somebody
Anyway,
made a mod so you could.
I thought it might be a vanilla option. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm sure you could make a mod for it. Just delete all those sound files. But um, anyway, I think it's a good thing. It's something that um, I'm a huge Dragon Age fan. They moved to, and I preferred it.
I and I think the way that I'm thinking about it is uh, voice acting in Bethesda games has always to me felt a little flat for like 75% of it.
No, you're
And
you're right there. I
and
guess so. What you mean your implementation? It didn't
yeah, it didn't sound
didn't
like
feel right.
it didn't feel right. Like the
Yeah.
voice acting, I think is what I'm saying. Like I love the idea of voice acting a main
No, they
character.
s- they skimp. They skimp on their budget for it. I mean, Skyrim
But the
was
odd
famous
thing is
for
why would you
having one guy voice like
like
19 characters or
dude, yeah.
something, and you could tell he just sounded like himself.
He sounded like he was taking downers after like character number 10. He's like, I just want to
Yeah,
kill myself. But I
yeah,
mean, why would you skimp on the main character? Because Dragon Age, you're right. Dragon Age, fucking phenomenal. But
yeah.
they had tons of lines in that per character, and the
And they
characters
use
were
very, very
driven.
famous, well-recognized, talented voice actors. They pay well for it, they get results.
But even then, you don't have to like. I've had some of my best voice actors that I've had for some of my quest mods that have been brought the most life to my characters are the ones that I've paid. They're the more professional sounding ones. But I've had people voice 1,000, 1,500 lines, and granted, the main characters have 12,650 lines. Okay, they have a lot of lines in Fallout. I get that, but I was paying people like $150 for 1,000 lines, and some of these people just nailed it out of the park. And they'd send me multiple takes of all the freaking lines, and it's like I
Some
get that you're.
people have a natural voice for this stuff, and if you already have a natural voice that works well, it's just talking for you. It's a fun
It's
hobby.
true.
Um,
I honestly think that Bethesda, like, I think a lot of game companies should branch out into their communities, especially if they're established, because there's a lot of people that would jump at that opportunity and do it for 1/50th the price they're paying other people. And as we know, Bethesda is
yeah, but
cheap.
with the big money that people like Bethesda work with, I mean, I know maybe this is just being devil's advocate here because I kind of agree with what you're saying, but when you're a big money company, you generally get what you pay for, and then paying more doesn't always work, but paying less, it actually there's just scientific evidence. You just get what you
It's
pay
true.
for usually. So that's why they overpay people because it works. I don't. No one even knows why it works. I swear, but it does. So they just pay the best.
So
You know.
that's the next question. Do you think they're underpaying their voice actors? Because then it feels like it.
I think that they are not getting the big names because, which is, I think there's a downfall to that because some of these big name people have a, not the biggest following between their games, but some, it leverages some sort of following towards their games. People, these companies are big enough they don't really need extra people, but I don't know. Like there's a guy, I don't know his name, but he does all the orcs. He's incredible. He sounds like an orc. He's an orc. He's like a chain smoker. He's got that like really low raspy voice from smoking for like 100 years, and I don't know. He in everything, in movies, in games, but he's very well paid because he's always lined up to voice an orc. He's just that good. If you don't use him, you're not using orcs. Someone else is going to sound worse. It's just how it is.
Yeah. I guess it's all frustration because we love the damn game. And then it's like, people are like, well, if you hate it so much, I'm like, I'm critical because I love it. Shut the fuck up. It's like, clearly, if I didn't love it, I wouldn't sit around.
You wouldn't spend this much time messing with it.
Yeah. I wouldn't even be wasting time doing video recordings for people like, Jesus. No. Now I'm chewing on a cough drop, so I sound like I got a dick in my mouth. Like, fuck. I've actually managed not to cough, but then again, I've gone through 2.5 coughs.
Freudian slip there.
All right. So let's get on to the other two fun topics that everybody's like, stop asking these questions. I like asking these questions because it's kind of funny because I've gotten differing opinions on each time I ask the questions, and it's and my opinions are all well thrown out there. I shove them in people's faces like I'm swinging my cock around. So, what are your feelings on all the fucking sexy, skimpy, slutty shit that honestly hasn't tended to dominate the front besides that 2-week period of just titty nexus over December
when Caliente's body slide came out,
and everybody decided they want to just do 700,000 different presets.
Well, they made it easy to make presets, and so people could do it very rapidly. Yeah.
But what do you think about that? I mean, in general, Skyrim has a waifu follower on the front page, 2 out of the 6 hot files almost every damn week, and I mean, just nothing but eye candy. Like, what do you feel about that? The sexy outfits, the slutty outfits, the, in my terms, objectification of women in mass in a gaming community. But what do you feel about that?
So anybody who actually knows my mods or uses them is probably not a big fan of those mods because there's no crossover. I've had lots of requests like, hey, can you make skimpy versions of immersive armors? Like, no, I will not do that. I can't. I could waste my time doing that. I don't play that way, and I think that most of the people use my armor mods to avoid those armor mods because it really doesn't work well together to have the type of armors I make in the same game as those. Like, you really got to pick or choose. I really don't think there's a big crossover, and I think that to me it takes away from the game. I don't care if anyone else uses it. They can do whatever they want. I will say this. I think it puts a bad name on the Nexus to most people because we're people who, do a lot of stuff on the Nexus. I spend a fair amount of time on it. I post a lot of my mods on it. I'm associated as like a kind of a strange, perverted type person, but that's not me, But I don't care that other people are like that, but the generalization of the Nexus is that it is this weird sex mod hug box where, everyone has to be nice and everyone likes big bouncy boobs. And so we're thrown in that category by association because of what you said. You look at the front page and it's always full of it. I don't know what you do about that. People are entitled to use whatever they want, and I don't care. I don't care that they use it, but if you ask my opinion, I don't particularly like it, and I actually think it does give a general bad name to the modding community for this game, because not every game's modding communities are full of that.
Okay, I've been gritting my teeth trying not to laugh. Just for clarification, you'll realize why in just a second. Just for clarification, I've never talked to you before today, correct?
No.
I never breached that subject with you in talking with you before this interview, correct?
No.
And you didn't even have a fucking clue about my mods or even watch any of my other videos before this.
I knew you make building mods.
Because 90% of what you just said is the exact opinions I have had about this fucking thing. And People actually think that because I do voice a little strongly against the whole slutty thing, and I gotta make a clarification rant video at some point, because I'm actually in favor of like Lover's Lab. I've been a community member there for a long time, and I think that my argument against it is that people are like, well, people are free to do what they want. And I'm like, yes, but we don't put hardcore porn on the front display rack in a fucking Walmart.
Yeah.
And you're right. That's my biggest bitches is I'm associated. Somebody was like, well, what so do you think that because I told them, I tell friends that I mod the game, and some people are like, oh, you make porn mods?
Yeah.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, is that really how they view our community?
No, it is. So I have a couple, and they're dated, and they're tiny, and they're old mods that are on Steam Workshop. I hate their system. That's a whole different conversation. But
Yeah.
I get a lot of requests. They're like, hey, could you put your bigger mods here? For one, they don't fit. They won't let you have big mods there. But anyway, so I'm always like, no, I won't. But you can download them on the Nexus. And they're like, well, I don't want to go there. It's just like all naked people and like a bunch of weird perverted people. I don't want to go download there. And I'm like, I understand what you're talking about.
And
I'm not going to sit here and tell you no, because the facts are kind of yes.
And the problem is, like, the moment you make an account, you log in, and then you just see the front page with tits and any vajayjays.
And you log out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, how hard would it be just to make a full adult section? Like, just make sure things are tagged as adult or whatever, and put it in its own section. Like, have
I think there's probably more problems with trying to fix the issue than leave it how it is, for all I know. But
because the most
all I'll
vocal
say is
people are the people
I'm
who
not a
love it.
huge fan of the fact that that's wildly popular, but it's I don't have to download it. I truthfully don't understand how it gets quite so popular, which means I'm out of touch with a fairly large portion of mod users. But it is what it is.
Hold on. This is something that I take a big disconnect with. Like, I actually took a big massive stand against one of my, because part of the problem is that the people who download a slutty armor or slutty bobbleheads or nude armor, those same people will always download the next one. So if you have 100,000 people who are, and in our community is like millions, right? So you have 100,000 people who are downloading slutty armor 1, 2, 3, and 4. They always make the hot files because that's 100,000 people downloading it in your endorsement rates. But 500,000 people downloading 25 different mods based on taste get overlooked because of the chunk of the pervy chunk is always gonna congeal around the pervy shit. And the people who make the waifus, make the slut mods, they know this. And it's not like it's a chunk, but it's not anywhere near the majority of mod users, in my opinion. And
okay, so it's as a subsection, a larger.
It is large, yes.
A minority majority, if you will.
But it always shows up as bigger than it is because of the fact that they all hit the same thing at once. Whereas, 5 different quest mods get 5 different types of people with tastes. So, it's kind of a preference.
One thing we talked about before this is how something that is popular feeds on its popularity.
Correct.
I think that some of the more core users of the Nexus, who spend a lot more time looking at files that are not recent on the recent list or the hot list, are in the group who like the naked mods or whatever. This is my theory. Anyway, so because of that, they don't get overlooked as much. So they do make it to the hot files. And if you're in the hot files, more people find you. That's just how it is.
It's part of the problem with the hot files is the moment you make the hot files, you're in the hot files till your time runs out. And
you can be bumped out, but it's hard. It's hard to be bumped out. Someone would have to move up very quickly.
Yeah, I've bumped a lot of people out. Ellie actually cussed me out in PMs once for that. There's like, I'm gonna just give this away for people right here and there. There's a trick to it too, because it's really stupid. Once I realized that it's just endorsement based, that's it.
Yeah,
it's just endorsement based.
That's not a trick. That's just how it is.
Here's
most
the trick.
Endorsements in the last 2 weeks or something.
Here's the trick. No, it's endorsements. It's just most endorsements. That's it. You have the 7-day period from when you released your mod that you can actually be in the hot files. Yeah. The moment that 7 days wears off, you automatically never make the hot files. You're not eligible. So it's just endorsement based. So if you have, if there's 6 mods at 150 endorsements, they're going to be in the hot files. If somebody gets 151, they bump the last person off, and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Well, if somebody downloads your mod a second time because of an update, they get prompted for an endorsement.
Yeah, so you're saying update like 7 times and you're more likely to get endorsements?
People wonder why I release my mods and then update the shit out of them. Sometimes I actually do it because people give me really good ideas. The Buster Sword is another prime example. I just released it with 5 materia slots. I want to do testing on it. I have plans for 10 more. I'll probably do another 5 and then another 5. And it prompts it for the endorsements. And it bumps you into hot files super fast. And because people don't endorse the damn thing.
No, they don't.
It's 15 minutes of wait.
I have not ever used that strategy. I guess it never really occurred to me. I guess I've got enough people interested in my stuff that I've never had to worry. But I will say the very first thing that I made for, well, as a second thing, because like the castle thing, I don't count that as a whole mod. But the first armor I made for Fallout did not make it to the hot files, and I was like, wow, maybe, just maybe, no one who likes my stuff from Skyrim plays this game. I don't know, because I could make almost anything in Skyrim and it hit the hot files. I think that somewhat out of respect for the amount of work I've put in, some people just, kind of follow some of the things I post. I don't know. It's very hard not to achieve the hot files when I post a file these days. Which, thank you, everyone, I guess, who, endorses my stuff. Legitly, though. Like, I do appreciate it. But I put this out, it took me a lot of hours. Because, the first thing you make always takes the longest, too.
Oh.
Trying to figure out all the tools and everything.
Did you see
it took
the first
forever.
mod I put out? It was fucking elevators. That was the dumbest shit I could have started with.
Yeah. Well, mine was, I called it Armored General. But I really, like I told you, I was in the Minutemen, was my first playthrough. And so I liked the Minutemen armor. But it was like a pile of shit. So I wanted to make it better for late game, but then also look better. So that's what I did. And everyone was like, yeah, that's not good. And so, yeah, it's like I made another armor way later. It's got more than double the endorsements already. I don't know.
Part of the thing I think with that too is it kind of it feels like people aren't checking the Nexus or downloading mods as much because there's this, there's this inordinate amount of fear about pre-CK mods, which is just so ludicrous.
Is there still that? I thought that was for software that no one is using anymore.
Nope, there's still that. You see a Reddit post all the time about it, and there'll be people like, I'm scared to use mods before the CK, and then my favorites are like, what CK? Like, what are you looking forward to when the CK comes out? And people are like, armor mods, new weapons, and people are like, are you stupid? You can do that just fine right now.
Do that now. They should be looking forward to locations.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so looking forward to that. And the other one is just laziness. I think they're just waiting for DLC and shit, and for, I think if we actually, depending on how Bethesda does console modding, if it's actually an easy enough platform, because it's literally got to be point click install. So people don't understand that,
load orders and
Yeah, I get constantly berated. Like I even talked to Stuke and the other guy was for settlement keywords. Like I fucking hate settlement keywords, and I don't hate the mods as concepts. I hate the user base who is like fanatical because they keep contacting me. Can you make an SK patch? On my front page it says it's compatible with everything because I make my mods smart. And on SK's page it says everything by DD Productions 83 is compatible. Stop pestering him. And people still pester me. I just had another one today.
Oh, I get that. There's armor keywords and there's Armorsmith Extended, and they're like, hey, can you add like Armorsmith Extended stuff? I'm like, what, you want me to? Because that's not my mod. Why don't you do it, or why don't you get someone else to do it?
I know.
Like, is it not enough? I made this for you. Like, hey, no. But make more stuff for it. And then tomorrow, there's Armorsmith Extended Junior that some other guy makes, and it's like, hey, can you support Armorsmith Extended Junior? Oh, and Caliente, I need body slide for her body. But then there's the Jane bot, and then there's tomorrow there's another bot, and I need you to make all these. I'm like, no, I can't support everyone.
But see, I'm firmly under the belief that the Armorsmith Extend, or whatever the armor keywords, and SK will literally be junk. They'll be junked when Bethesda releases Automatron, especially. Because Bethesda knows there's a problem with the crafting system. They've known it before they released the game. And they're going to have to fix it to do Automatron in general. Automatron's going to add hundreds of keywords. Yeah. And which means they already have crashed their own system testing it, which means they've already fixed it because they announced the thing, which means it's just in final testing. So, like, they're going to fix it, which means it's going to destroy all these fucking other mods. And also, if you do console modding, the worst case thing you can do in console modding is making your mod dependent on another mod.
A bunch of dependencies.
Yes.
See, my general plan from the get-go, people always ask me, like, hey, can you do this, do that for all these other mods? I'm like, actually, my mods only require what you are downloading with the one click. I've always done it that way. I think that's one reason that my mods have become popular. So when in my general plan is to make a immersive armors for Fallout, like I've done before. So I'm making armors. I'm not going to make immersive armors with one armor. That's not the concept behind it. It's supposed to be a compilation of lots of armors that are well integrated, and that's what I plan to do. But first, I got to make a lot of armors. Anyway, am I going to make a compatibility patches for someone else's keywords? No. My pack's going to be big enough that it has its own keywords. It's going to be big enough that it has its own new crafting station. I don't need their crafting station. I don't need their enhancements or their keywords. I'll have mine. That's the plan.
We've never talked about this. That's you've seen my mods. I have a lot of them. I actually am working on an all-in-one that has its own crafting station you build that then lets you craft all of my own mods. So, because you're right, it's going to be big enough. Like, it's more like you're using, like, the thing I hate about it is especially like the armor keyword thing. And, like, nothing against these guys. Steak especially for SK. He's an accomplished modder besides that. The other guy with the armor keywords thing looked like he was just building off what me and Steve started working on with that stupid SK thing. And he's got like no other mods that are worth anything. And then he's got a mod that basically feeds off the popularity of weapon and armor mods.
But it is a good concept and it does address a problem. But it also addresses a problem for the users and creates a problem for the authors. If he wants to make the integration something that is automated, where like he has a script and it finds new armor entries and finds out what type they are, what slots they are, how much armor they have, I don't know, something, and adds keywords through an injector script, he can make it work with everybody else's work without adding a workload to me. I don't really like it in reverse. He's forcing me to do more work. As you said, which is a positive feedback mechanism for his mod, not for mine. So it doesn't really add value to mine. It adds value to his, because now everyone is required to use his in mine, but not in reverse.
And the other thing is once again, it's only a temporary fix right now, because I'm pretty damn sure Bethesda, as incompetent as I sometimes think they are and make fun of them about,
they're going to fix it.
They know there's an issue and they're going to fix it, which means all these temp solutions right now are going to go out the window in a month. And so why create such a workload on yourself for something that is more than likely going to disappear? And then you might have to go back and fix your shit again.
But here's the other thing that I've learned the hard way from working with having other mods that revolve around your mods. And I'm not even saying my mod requires them, but that would be so much worse. So imagine that guy stops updating his mod. He's gone.
Oh, yeah.
And now that they have a new patch, his mod doesn't work. Well, my mod is revolving around his. My mod no longer would work without his mod, and he won't fix his mod. So now I have to go reinvent the wheel when I could have had my own system and kept it updated. But I've had other people, and they still do. They want to make mods that work with my mod, and then everyone they're like, oh, this is so great. There was this one. I don't want to crack on this mod author, but okay, I kind of want to crack on this mod author, so I'm going to do it. He made
Just remember, nobody's watching this anyway.
Yeah, that's okay. That's right. No one will find out. It was Immersive Armors for NPCs is what it was called. It was very popular. It always shocked me that it was so popular, because the whole point of Immersive Armors was that it was literally for NPCs. That was the actual only concept of it. I made armors and I gave it to the whole world. It was integrated. Well, he thought, I guess it wasn't integrated enough, so he slapped it on 10 or 15 more people and published it. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, now it's on NPCs. So they all download it. Well, his mod goes out of date and it no longer works, and everyone keeps using it with old versions that aren't supposed to work with it. And there's all these problems, and they all come where to report them? On my mod page. Your mod doesn't work. I saw so-and-so wearing so-and-so armor, and they were disappearing or something. I didn't edit that person. Did you use so-and-so mod? They're like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, go fucking complain over there. Like, I have enough people to help and talk to over here, and all I hear about is all these submods making all these problems for me. And no one goes and complains to them. They complain to me. I don't know why. I guess they don't know that it comes from the other mod. I don't know.
Do you know that you actually could get his mod removed if you didn't give him permission for that?
I did give him permission for that.
Oh, your fault. Yeah.
Well, I still do sometimes, but I don't know. It's seriously. I actually put a sticky on that on Immersive Armors that says if you're using another mod that alters this mod, I literally will not answer your question. It got that bad.
Yeah, I've started to put stickies up to just delete things because it's like, I don't know. I get the people using other well, like we were talking about my castle wall patch fix that by the way everybody totally beats his castle wall fix. No, the part of the problem with that one is it has like over 50,000 downloads now, I think, or something, right? And I'll still get the bug reports from people who literally, if you scroll through the comments, you will see people who go, I have a problem, it won't snap. And then 20 minutes later, they comment back, oh, I fixed it. I added B general, add whatever. And I'm like, oh, you mean the thing that's in the sticky and in the description and in the video? And it's like, and I've literally put up 99.9% of all bug reports and problems reported with this mod were user error. Follow the instructions. You're not the 0.01%.
It happens all the time. It happens to every mod author, honestly. There's not much you can do about that. It's bad. It's real bad. And yeah, it happens to me a lot.
So another question then. So what's the absolute worst, most annoying, god-awful thing you've ever had to deal with in your mods? And if it's that NPC thing, oh well, we already covered it. Like comment, user, whatever. Like what riled your boat up?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I've had a pretty positive experience with modding. I don't know. I do think that one thing I get over and over and over in Skyrim is support for the varying big boob bodies, like many of them. There's so many. I do get requests for that almost daily to support them, and they don't know what that means because that's like 100+ hours to support one of them.
You just correct me if I'm mistaken, but when you because I'm pretty sure this is right. I'm probably wrong. When you equip an armor, it actually puts a different body type underneath it of whatever's adapted to the armor. So technically, doesn't any armor work with anybody? It just changes the body type? No, it doesn't. Okay, then I'm stupid.
That is what Caliente's body slide is cool with. They made it so they can, through their program, work with. You can quickly adapt an armor to a new body. But no, the armors that I made in Skyrim were for the vanilla body because that's the Skyrim body. And if you want it to work on another one, you have to literally edit the mesh. You have to move it around. But they have a body slide for Skyrim too, and it works many times. Not all the time.
Not all the time.
Not all the time.
I've heard there's some clipping issues with the Fallout one, but it generally works okay.
Yeah, it's especially if you use multiple meshes instead of one solid one-piece mesh. That's kind of how it works best, and I don't always do that. Just I think the way they did it in Fallout is different. They had a small body and a large body, and then it would tween those meshes to scale up and down. They had to be perfect, identical matches and vertices for it to work, but you had to have both the largest and the smallest in Skyrim for that to work, and that's how the body slide thing worked. You would change that around. Anyway.
Yeah, as everybody's eyes are glossing over, and I'm realizing, affirmation of why I've never dealt with armor.
It's Anyway, that is I'm a boring person. What can you say? In Fallout, they just have one. They just have the normal size body, and it scales up and down from there, which is so much better, by the way, to create armors because you don't have to create it twice. It scales for you. So I'm guessing it was easier and is easier for Caliente and is Osmodius.
It's a weird second name.
Some other guy. I don't want to not mention him because I know he's a big part of doing body slide. Credit to people where credit is due and stuff. But I think it's probably a lot easier now because they don't have the two system. I could be wrong, but Anyway, I think that's why you saw the huge spree of all the sliders, presets, and all that stuff.
Let's see, shit. I realize that right now I have like I just looked at the timer on this video, and while I really don't care how long these go, I realize that I'm now. Somebody made a comment on my last video and go, "These are getting longer each time. By the time we get to episode 20, it's going to be a day-long interview." And I realize that's right. Like Ellie's is 30, the next one's 35, the next one's like 38, then it goes to 42, and we've just crossed the 45-minute mark. And I'm like, it's so true.
Hey, you can cut something out. It's okay.
Oh, fuck that. You think I'm editing this video? Screw that shit. This is going to go on forever. But I'll close this one out with the obligatory one that annoys half the people and the other people go, rah! The paid modding. Just thoughts, overall, general impression. You know, have at it. What do you think they should do? What do you think should be done? What do you think they failed? Like, just hit it from wherever you want to hit it, or say, I plead the fifth.
I don't plead the fifth. I think that there are strong pros and cons, and I really do think that. I think that the modding community, as you see it now, will change a lot. But there are good. So that's the negative. So people like me, I am not a professional 3D artist. I am not a professional rigger. I don't script. I'm not a professional. I do work in the gaming industry. I know all sorts of things about games, but people are better at the things that I'm doing than me. They don't do it for free, though, because it's their job. Those people will start modding, and they'll start modding a lot if there's money in it, which means the quality of what you can get will be better, but it will cost money. So you can get better quality, you just have to pay for it. So that's a plus and a minus in and of itself. Also, some startups. So I think I can make things that, while I can't compete with the best people, can still be used by some people, and they'll be enjoyed. But if you're brand new, the entry will be harder, because right now you can kind of start up and start winging it, and people will enjoy your work. Well, if everything's incredible, it'll be hard for your fairly meager mod to be used by anyone. I think that will be a downfall. So increased talent, better quality, more options. I think those are all pluses, but I really do think the general community around kind of like, I've never done anything before, let's start now, and then you become someone that people know in the modding community, like me, I think that'll be a much more rare story.
That is actually a lot of points that have never been brought up yet. I didn't even really think about some of that, because that's actually a really good point. Yeah. No, that's a good point. I can't really argue with that too much. I didn't really think about. You're right, that people who do this for a living might actually come in.
They're just better. They're just better. I mean, it's just, you don't have to. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I have so many million downloads, I'm the best. But I'm not. If there was big money in it, there would be immersive armors, but just better quality. I hate to say it, but they'd get paid tons and tons of money to do it, and so they'd do it. If all the people making these mods were as skilled as everyone thinks they are, they just own their own game companies, but they don't.
Well, that's another two-edged sword thing too, where it's like because part of one of the things that I want to do in the future is make my own video game, and I've done a lot of research on it, and it's costly as fuck.
Yes,
it's one of those things that is pretty expensive to do, and I mean, part of the hardest part about it is. I think the biggest cost expenditure is 3D assets, because 3D modelers are still paid way too much, and programmers are a dime a dozen because they're generally a boring sort and they'll just do what you tell them to do. And there's been a massive influx of programmers in the last 10 years because of the gaming industry and programming and Microsoft. It's caused a lot of drive into that level of education, and but the thing that I'm fucking just digressing all over the place. The thing that I'm wondering, though, is like how kickstarting would go in terms of modding if Bethesda's going to make money off it. Because right now, if we do a Kickstarter, Bethesda will shut us down so fast it's not even funny. You can't Kickstarter to do any mod. You'll get sued out your ass and shut down.
But they should. They should shut you down. It's their game.
Yes. But the thing is that I'm wondering is if they do paid modding, how would Kickstarters work then? Because if you're Kickstartering to do a mod to sell for pay...
You won't. They need to make sure they're getting a piece of the pie. It's their game.
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering. Is like if But if you're doing a Kickstarter to make a mod
You
to
won't.
then sell,
They won't let you. They won't let you.
to then sell though.
They won't let you.
You don't think so?
No way. You kickstart your own shit. They don't care how you do it. If you don't do it, they also don't care. But when you do it, they make money. That's how they want it.
That's what I'm kind of wondering. Like
There's a lot of gray area. Some people have Patreons or patron. I don't even know how you say it, and they're getting money. I mean, you and I, we get some donations. I think that's less of a gray area because it's not with expectation necessarily. But something like that's kind of, again, Patreon is supposed to be like supporting people. Sometimes they give you promises, sometimes they don't. It's this, I don't know. There's a lot of gray area, but I do know that they spend a lot of money making these games, and they're going to protect their property, and I think they should.
That's why I'm wondering if there's like, as part of the thing that I'm thinking is I'm hoping there'll be, if they do paid modding, whatever. Like I mean, say I release all my mods as one pack, sell it for $1, and 2-3 million people downloaded it. Well, that means I made Bethesda well over $1 million. Like at that point, I'm hoping that they're like open to negotiation, or if they just tell me to fuck off. Because ideally for me, like making a brand new video game is fun and all, but getting experience and getting people to work with is a lot easier in modding.
Yep.
And I would love to just, like, it's like the dumbest thing of me to say for how much I criticize Bethesda and their money grubbing ways and shit, but they're a business, you can't really fault them. But it's like, I would love to just put $200,000 into making like the most badass DLC fucking mod I could come up with and having fun with it.
Yep.
And the problem is that where's my input into doing that when my return would be what I would get back, because my cut is still as shitty, because Bethesda's going to come out and try to only give us another 25%. But
see, I disagree with you there. I don't think it's a bad cut.
For Fallout, I don't. I
don't,
because
it kind of depends on your offering. But let's put it this way: it's their audience, and the money is in the people. Their engine and their game and all that is expensive and proprietary, and that's theirs too. But their following, you mentioned, if I throw all my stuff on there for $1, I might get 3 million downloads. And you're not wrong. But why? Because they own the following. It's their following. Now you're following. And without their following, you would be no one. And that is why they get all the money.
I only have to disagree on one point. Their engine is expensive as fuck and proprietary. The expensive as fuck is such a misnomer considering it's only an upgraded Gamebryo engine. Their engine is actually cheap as shit, and it's actually one of the things that I do legitimately hate them for.
They spent more money on it than they maybe should have. I promise you, they spent a lot of money on it.
They spent more money on it than they should have. I cannot disagree with that, and it's still a pile of shit compared to Unreal Engine 4, which they should have just used in the first place.
Yeah, well, I don't disagree that their engine has a lot of problems because I've spent a lot of time with their engine, and we don't get along all the time.
Yeah, it likes to crash on you.
It has a lot of issues. My point was not so much of how good it is, but it's a giant investment on their part. It's theirs. You don't just get the keys to the castle without putting it in. You mentioned how expensive it is to make a game. There's a giant barrier. So they've already done that for you. And then all of a sudden you get to sell things in it? I mean, really, at 25% in my mind, I know that people probably think I'm crazy. I think that's generous.
No. I think it was the dumbest lowest cut we could have got for Skyrim because the audience to sell to was so minor. But I think
it was not. Actually, Skyrim has a giant audience. It's still on like the number, like up in the top 10, 15 selling games now.
No, but user base that constantly concurrently used it on Steam was in the low 1 point something million. And the problem that I had was a 25% cut on a 4-year-old game with the user base of 1 point whatever million, and them taking no legal responsibility for your shit, no moderation, and doing no promotions for your stuff.
That's different. I think that they have more responsibility than they were taking.
Yeah,
and
I think Fallout
I think
4,
there were
25%
lots of problems.
Nice.
But let's put it this way: Steam, most vendors take about a 30% cut.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, you're getting almost as much as Steam for the services.
We're actually getting the exact same as Steam. Steam was giving 5% of their cut to different services like Nexus and other things that you could put that you could actually send 5% of Steam's cut to different service providers. Steam was actually pretty generous. Steam was. I think
there's another scenario that I think you're probably not entertaining. So you really care about your mods and work hard on them. I care about my mods and I work hard at them. But there's a guy somewhere out there who will spend 5 minutes making a map mod or like drawing really horribly drawn nipples onto what otherwise was just a skin map that didn't have them. And they're going to publish that and they're going to make $1 million.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And now, does that 25% cut look different? You know, you're really giving too much credit to some people. And but I think there's a balance. I don't know. You got to think from other people's point of view. If you want to talk about someone who makes a whole new DLC, like almost as good, maybe as good as, maybe better than their own, which actually are usually pretty good in standards of most DLC, then yes, 25% seems kind of small for what they invested. But not everyone's investing that. I would argue that the vast majority invest far less.
I can't argue with that. I think and I think the worst part is that you're entirely correct because people don't realize they're like, well, it's not going to work. I'm like, it's a console. It's a console game. There's like 90% of the users aren't flipping console. And console users have been trained for the past 5 years to do microtransactions. And they do it constantly without fucking thinking about it. And $1 here, $1 there, they won't even notice it till they're at $200 in. Because people are like, I can't afford $100 for a mod. I'm like, the console kiddies do it all the time. They won't even phase them. And Bethesda would be really stupid not to implement. Like, I really honestly think there's are they, aren't they questions. It's not really a question in my mind. I'm 100% for they're going to do it. Because it's a bad business choice not to implement paid modding at this point. But
Gabe Newell said a couple years ago, and so he was a little ahead of most of the trend. He said, "Modding is the future of video games. Mark my words." And he said Valve will be there, and they've been trying their best to be there for the future of games because that's what they do. And they're trying to jump on it. They know it's happening. It is happening.
And you're right. It extends game life. It increases popularity, replayability. It does more sales. I mean, you can't deny that it ups the sales. Like Skyrim was a buggy game. There's a lot of fixes for it. There's a lot of patches. There's tons of comments.
People look at Skyrim like it's one of the best games ever made in many ways, but no one would ever say that if there were no mods for it.
Yes,
that's just the truth. It was a good game. It was definitely not one of the best games unless you had mods.
And marketing sells a game. I read somewhere like one of the we were mentioning CD Projekt Red Witcher thing. They give out, in case people don't know, I'm going to beat this with a dead horse. I love that company. They give out permissions to anybody who owns their game can rip assets from it and throw it into anything as long as they don't receive monetary compensation, which is why you see Witcher mods all over the place. And they have said that their sales go up from that. Yep. Because people see the assets, they see...
And they're well made.
Yeah, and somebody made a Yennefer character with her voice acting dialogue from Witcher, her full outfit, costumes, ripped appearance in Skyrim, and that was in the hot files, I think, for a while, and I think got tons of downloads, and they said, there's people saying they're buying the game because of that and shit, and CD Projekt Red is like, go for it. Publicity's publicity. You bought the game, you own the assets, and... That's part of why I love them as a company, but
this rant is proof. Now, no one's going to watch this video, but and if they do, they certainly won't get this far into it. But people love them, and it's viral. We tell people, we tell each other, we talk about it. They are a good, solid company. They make good products, and they're good to their community. I mean, that gets around. That does increase sales.
God, I wish they would fucking like if they had made Witcher 3. Moddable easy, like, oh my god.
They didn't deliver on their mod tools like they said they would.
No,
people were not too thrilled.
For them, I give them a little more. Their engine is definitely proprietary and like their own build. Like their engine is a very special, their own build shit. So I don't think they had tools to release like.
But they actually said they were going to release a full modding kit. Yes.
Huh.
It may be out now, but last I looked, it still was not.
I haven't heard anything about it. I
mean, Witcher 3 is not ancient by any means. I mean, it now would not be too late by many standards, but people thought it would be sooner, and I don't know if it's even ever going to be.
If you haven't played the game, Witcher 3 doesn't need any mods.
No.
It's like the best game fucking ever.
But you'd still be surprised what people might throw in there that you didn't think you needed.
It'd be a lot of fun, yeah. Well, I mean, the only bitch I really have about the game is, if you had it on medium settings for combat, you could basically, like, attack, dodge, roll, and kill anything in the game.
Quinn. Sign Quinn. You put the shield up, you hit people.
You put the shield up,
put
hit
the shield
people,
back up.
The shield
One back roll, shield. Yeah.
Now, if you up the difficulty,
You gotta use your potions and all that stuff. Yeah.
But I did fucking love the game. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if like as much as I love Bethesda games and crap and love modding them and shit, and even the Tomb Raider, if anybody who asks me for a recommendation on an RPG game, the first thing is like Witcher.
Yeah.
Go buy the damn thing.
But the what I was saying, that the modding's the future. They know. They were giving away prizes to make Christmas outfit mods for their game. They are trying to incentivize modding of their game because it is the future, and they know that if they don't catch on, if they don't grow their modding audience, it'll be a detriment to their brand.
It depends on where they go with Cyberpunk and then the other one. The moment they open modding tools, I'll jump ship and try it at least for a while, because it's, as much as I hate learning something new, like I would jump into it for Witcher. It's because, like you said, it's the love of the company, the love of their game, the absolute just fucking gorgeous game as well as gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, and they learn from their mistakes. I don't know if you played Witcher 1 and 2, but they I
played all of Witcher 2. I tried Witcher 1, but it was out like years before I tried it, and it was so brutally bad graphic wise. By the time I played it, it was a bit hard to enjoy.
And a lot of their gameplay mechanics and shit were terrible in Witcher 1, and they improved them. Like, I'd say...
Yeah, a lot of spam clicking combat is what I heard.
Yeah, there was like... They improved it like 2 or 3-fold in Witcher 2, and then Witcher 3 I almost had zero complaints about. Like, they just literally listened to everything.
Well, they won Company of the Year and Game of the Year. They won like everything of the year and all the award places everywhere, and they deserved it.
That had to piss Bethesda off, though. You got to think about it. Don't they? They've won that like every year except for this title, didn't they?
Well, I don't think that even Bethesda could think that they could have beaten them. What I think Bethesda probably said is, why do they work that hard and not charge more? They put so much into this.
We all
every time you think you beat that game, you're halfway.
Dude,
it's crazy.
Not going to ruin it for people. This isn't a spoiler. This is just a state of fact. When you get to the point in The Witcher where it says might want to turn back now and complete all your quests.
You think you're about done.
You think you're about done. It's like 12 hours later.
Yeah, and you're like 100 hours in at least anyway. You're like, well, it's over now, and then it just keeps going.
I think because I didn't have the difficulty jacked up, I think I was like 55, 60 in, and then I was like, oh, okay, it's the end of the game. Cool, I got a couple hours left. Over 12 hours later, I finally hit the end of the game. I was like, holy shit, that's how you do an ending.
I did a lot of side quests at the beginning, because I really like to see all it has to offer. And their side quests are legitimately better than the main quests in Bethesda games. Their side quests.
I gotta admit that I spent 45 minutes. I found a griffin, and I had this potion thing at, like, I was low level too. It's one of the things that you shouldn't be getting to, like, the end of the game. Like, if you have this griffin's feather or some shit, he was one of the, like, hardest creatures to kill. You would be able to craft a poison or whatever. It was one of the things for your blade that basically every power attack would use all of your fucking stamina shit and deal like 10 to 20% of their health and damage. I spent 45 minutes to kill that griffin, like 20-something levels below him, and then I crafted that, and I basically 10-shot everybody in the game after that. Like, so I progressed a little too fast after that point. Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, a monster that can kill me in one hit? All I gotta do is land 10 shots.
It sounds like you were looking up ways to beat it online. You're that guy.
No, I actually didn't.
How do you find out about this random thing?
No, I got the recipe for it.
Oh, okay.
I got the recipe for it, and then I was looking at it like, I was like, I really want to make this fucking thing. Yeah. And then I ran across the bird. I found the fucking... Because I do the... I do the OCD thing where I start to clear everywhere when I go places, which in The Witcher doesn't work because they're super high level areas, right? But I'm a fucking persistent asshole where I will literally fight the stone golem who's 20 levels higher than me for 60 minutes just to kill him.
The other reason it doesn't work is because you'll never play another game. You'll play 1,000 hours. You can't clear that whole game.
It's so much fun, though. Oh, it's so good. Anyway, okay, we've been going on for a fucking hour. We need to stop this thing.
Yeah.
We've been circle jerking over fucking Witcher now.
Hey,
like,
fuck you, Bethesda. No one cares, yeah.
Alright, I'm gonna, as usual, guys, I'll just put a link to his profile page below. I don't know. I'm too tired to even think clearly still. I'm actually feeling a lot better today, which is great. But yeah, video's over. Check it out. I do have a Patreon. It supports making... It doesn't really support shit. But... fucking... It's like Bethesda. I'm taunting them to try to sue me for it. Yeah. Anyway, okay, I'm stopping recording. Fuck it.